The next thing he knows is pop, 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 pop. All successive gunfire in rapid succession.
Pulling really hard on her neck. Ow! Just like this.
You made a mistake. I forgive you, bro. I ain't got no ill will towards you.
This is Gary Ridgway, widely recognized as the Green River Murderer, facing charges for a series of murders in Washington. Predominantly targeting prostitutes or young runaways, Ridgway is a serial killer responsible for the deaths of at least 48 women, although he later claimed to have committed more than 70. His childhood was marked by violent parental conflicts, and he grappled with personal challenges, including bedwetting until the age of 13, a stabbing incident in his teenage years, and reportedly an IQ lower than 80. During the 1970s Jesus movement, Ridgway underwent a spiritual transformation, embracing Christianity as a born-again Christian. Despite passionately sharing his newfound faith, his dark side persisted. His contradiction emerged as his appetite for physical intimacy led him to engage with prostitutes, betraying his religious convictions. Subsequently, he escalated to abducting and killing women, discarding their bodies in the Green River.
Marcia Chapman was on her back, and she had large boulders on her thighs, upper shoulder, but one arm was free.
Come across Opal Mills. So here's a 16-year-old girl laying on her stomach, a large bruise on her buttocks, ligature around her neck, laying face down, and, we just started doing our job.
In 2003, the day of reckoning finally arrived, and Ridgway was sentenced to life in prison after pleading guilty.
Your statement begins as follows. I killed the 48 women listed in the state's second amended information. I killed so many women, I have a hard time keeping them straight. Is that true?
Yes.
And Mr. Ridgway, is it your desire to plead guilty to the 48 charges of aggravated murder in the first degree because you believe that you are guilty of each of those offenses?
Yes.
In response, the victims' relatives expressed their anger and pain through impactful statements, highlighting the profound loss of their loved ones.
You are a loser, you're a coward, you are nobody, you're an animal.
It said your memory, when it comes to all of the women you took, was gone. Our memory is not. In your words, you said that they didn't mean anything to you, but she meant everything to us.
She was a mother, she was a wife, she was a sister, and we miss her.
I wish for him to have a long, suffering, cruel death.
He's gonna go to hell, and that's where he belongs.
Amidst the heated emotions, Robert Rule, a Christian father who lost his daughter to Ridgway, took a remarkable stance. Rather than succumbing to hatred, Rule chose forgiveness. Addressing Ridgway, he spoke of the difficulty in upholding his beliefs but emphasized God's command to forgive all.
You've made it difficult to live up to what I believe, and that is what God says to do, and that's to forgive. And he doesn't say to forgive just certain people. He says to forgive all. So you are forgiven, sir.
His act of forgiveness shocked the courtroom, leaving Ridgway, who had shown no remorse, in tears. As part of a plea bargain wherein he agreed to disclose the locations of still missing women, he was spared the death penalty and received a sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Gary Ridgway currently serves his life sentence at the Washington State Penitentiary. The case remains a chilling chapter in the criminal history of the state, illustrating the impact of one man's dark choices on the lives of many. Meet Takoya Kreiner, who is facing charges for first-degree murder in Jacksonville, Florida. Kreiner unleashed a barrage of gunfire at a gathering where 21-year-old best friends Jeffrey Hicks and Isaac Brown were innocently enjoying the weekend, drinking beer and playing games. Tragically, the senseless shooting claimed the lives of both young men.
The next thing he knows is pop, 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 pop. All successive gunfire in rapid succession.
Throughout the trial, Officer Ike Brown, who was Isaac's father, confronted the man responsible for his son's death. Isaac, remembered for his humor, love for basketball, and compassionate nature, was abruptly taken from this world. Despite the overwhelming grief, Ike's heart was unexpectedly filled with compassion rather than hatred or vengeance. He saw in the perpetrator a reflection of his own son.
Never hated him. Never had those feelings I thought I was gonna have. It never transpired. You know, when I looked at him, he looked like my boy.
Instead of succumbing to bitterness, Ike chose the path of forgiveness. He found the strength to let go of hatred and even expressed a desire to embrace the man who had taken his son's life. Kreiner was rightfully sentenced to life imprisonment for his heinous crime. Ike's journey of forgiveness didn't end there. Continuing to uphold his faith, Ike extended prayers and wrote a letter to Kreiner, offering forgiveness and understanding. Remarkably, Ike's act of forgiveness opened a door to something extraordinary. In a display of profound humanity, Ike adopted Kreiner into his own family, exemplifying the transformative power of forgiveness. Officer Ike's unwavering faith played a pivotal role in granting Kreiner forgiveness and fostering a remarkable journey of healing and reconciliation. This is Granville Ritchie, who is accused of assaulting and killing 9-year-old Felicia Williams in Tampa, Florida. In 2014, Felicia ended up in the presence of Ritchie, a stranger to Felicia who had a link to Ebony Wiley, a neighbor and friend of Felicia's family. Wiley had brought Ritchie to Felicia, setting the stage for a terrible tragedy. On that fateful day, Ritchie was alone with Felicia, while Wiley went out to get marijuana. When Wiley came back, she found Felicia gone, and Ritchie said he had given the young girl money to buy candy, but that she never came back. The truth eventually came out. Prosecutors gave a chilling account of how Ritchie abused Felicia while Wiley was away. He is suspected of hiding the little girl's dead body in a suitcase before heartlessly throwing her in the bay. The evidence against Ritchie was overwhelming. DNA tests confirmed that he had sexually assaulted Felicia.
Granville Ritchie raped, strangled, brutalized, and murdered Felicia Williams, her child, the most vulnerable citizens we have in our society, children.
And his phone records placed him near the location where her body was found. Wiley, who first lied to the police about what happened, was also charged with lying during a missing person investigation. Felicia Demerson, the heartbroken mother, appeared before the judge, wearing a black dress with a glittering Hello Kitty pin, a reference to her daughter's favorite character. Felicia and her family expressed their grief and anguish, showing the unbearable agony Ritchie had caused them.
I just miss my grandbaby.
Her sister.
She meant the world to us, and he discarded her like she was nothing.
Her mother.
I've waited 2,310 days for this day to come.
In a powerful testimony, Felicia's father spoke directly to the killer and offered him a chance to repent.
More.
Please state your name.
Joel Rodriguez Wheaton. But not like everybody else, bro. I ain't got no ill will against you. That same Bible that you play with, bro, you about to yourself, you get on your knees and you pray. As long as you got a head, you gonna need God. I forgive you. And no anger towards you, bro. Abraham was willing to sacrifice his child. I sacrificed mine. I forgive you, bro. That's how strong my God is. I mean, better than that. See people all day long about they Christian. How can you be a Christian if you're not able to forgive a person that did wrong to you? You're my brother. I don't care what nobody else I love you. You made a mistake. I forgive you, bro. I ain't got no ill will towards you.
Judge Michelle Sisko agreed with the jury's recommendation and sentenced Ritchie to death.
Accordingly, as to count 1, for the first-degree murder of Felicia Williams, the defendant, Granville Ritchie, is hereby sentenced to death.
As to count 1 for the first-degree murder of Felicia Williams, the defendant, Granville Ritchie, is hereby sentenced to death. For many in the court, Ritchie was not worthy of forgiveness.
May God have mercy on your pathetic soul, because the rest of us who know the truth about you won't.
But he offered me the love he gave me, the opportunity that he gave me to be a part of his family.